Good afternoon, Ms. Marks.
Good afternoon, Chief Justice.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm very well, thank you. Sorry for keeping you waiting.
No problem at all, thank you.
You were a prosecutor for about 3 years, am I right?
Correct.
And you've been a magistrate, if I combine your service in the district court and regional court for about 35 years.
That's correct, Chief Justice.
And you've acted as the regional court president at some stage, is that so?
Correct.
For how long?
As a regional court president, I've acted on and off since 2007 when the resident president was acting in the High Court, so I would hold the fort. But since October 2018, I've had to take up the position of the acting regional court president.
And you've acted in the High Court?
Yes, now I've acted in the High Court. I think all in all, not on my CV, I must add a few more stints, because since my CV got handed in and we were shortlisted for the April 2020, I've since acted again in the High Court. I've acted in a criminal stint in November 2020, and I've just acted again another month in 2021 in the civil component in the High Court in Durban.
Thank you. Colleagues, before I call on the JP and the MEC, may I have your names, please?
Oui, ma'am. Dodov. Lambo.
JP?
Am I on the list, Chief Justice? Muima.
Could you add Schlemmer as well?
You are on the list.
Thank you, Chief Justice.
Was that your voice, Prof?
Yes, please.
Yeah. Thank you, JP. JP, over you, sir.
Thank you, Chief Justice. You and I know each other for many years and worked together as when you the acting regional head and me as the JP. Is that correct?
Correct, JP.
And I've asked you to come and act as a judge, and you've acted on several occasions.
That's correct, JP.
And I have often given you both criminal and civil stints. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I know when I ask you to come and act, you're always willing to do so, and you're always very excited about it. And I'm going to ask you this question is, what is it that excites you about being a judge?
The thing that excites me most about being a judge is I'm very passionate about human rights, children's rights, gender-based violence, etc. And when I get to act in the High Court, I can deal with appeals, full bench, full court. I can deal with trials, criminal trials. I can deal with civil matters as well, assisting people. And that's why I get excited to act in the High Court.
Is there a difference between, as far as you're concerned, the adjudication process about being a magistrate and being a judge?
Look, I think there definitely is a bit of a difference because the pressure is on in the High Court as far as the civil component is concerned. I've been fortunate enough that you've put me on the motion court role, the unopposed motions. I've been in opposed motions. I've had civil trials, criminal trials, etc. And you have to keep up. The regional court, as you know, I've been in for many, many years. And that's almost like second nature to me. So it's a great challenge to get to the High Court, and it's exciting and it expands your mind. And yes, I can assist.
And what do you regard as the main challenges for a judge in the High Court?
I think the challenges for a judge in the High Court is, as you know, in the Durban High Court as well, there's infrastructure challenges, which are about to be fixed, if I can say it that way, because there's about to be a decant going on. And there's the tender, I think, has been awarded to uplift and fix up the High Court. As far as the High Court is concerned in Durban, there's no virtual platform at all, because you cannot get Wi-Fi in the present Durban High Court. We were fortunate in that the Point Family Court has just been opened. The Honourable Minister came and opened it. And if you see, that court is absolutely state of the art, where virtual platforms can be used, witnesses can testify, etc. The Durban High Court doesn't even have a proper intermediary room for the child to testify. In fact, normally, when you need a court, you come to the regional court, and we accommodate the High Court to sit in either V or K court, because we've opened up the second child abuse court after COVID.
Yeah, that's the infrastructure challenges. But
Those
as
are the
far-
infrastructure
But
challenges,
the work,
yes.
as far as getting the work done is concerned,
Well, the work done, I think my wealth of experience as well. I always have pre-trial conferences, even in the criminal component. On the last occasion, when I did the criminal trial, there was a massive trial with over 31 witnesses. And right from the outset, the pre-trial conference is done. You need to know right from the outset, what is an issue between the parties? Is there going to be a trial within a trial? And that's how it worked out. I was able to finalize the trial, the hectic trial, and even do the backup trial. And as you know, when I'm finished, I always come to you and ask for civil work, which you give me civil work, normally the urgent ones that come in to help the colleagues.
thank you, Chief Justice.
Oh, thank you, JP. MEC?
Thanks, Chief Justice, and good afternoon, Ms. Marks. What do you think are the impediments in the legal system that continues to hamper the access of ordinary people, so that they can also have a sense of justice being done, but not only being done, but seen to be done?
All right, I think what has happened in the past, when this regional court got the civil jurisdiction in 2010, KwaZulu-Natal especially only got 6 seats. And for many years, they only had 6 seats. So people had to travel hundreds of miles to go and get a divorce and access a court. During my short stint as acting RCP, together with the other stakeholders, we've managed now to open up 25 places of sitting for the civil courts, for the regional courts. So the women don't have to travel all the way from Ingwuvuma all the way to Vryheid to go and get a divorce anymore. There is a civil seat in Ingwuvuma. In fact, if I'd had my own way, every single regional court would have been a civil seat. There's 65 seats all in all, and we managed to get 25. I think in my CV I said 21, that was a typo. It's actually 25 seats. So I'm very happy about that. I think as well, that way it can assist the people with access to justice, because in the past, you would get litigators going to the High Court. And the High Court sits in Durban or Pietermaritzburg. So your poverty-stricken people can't even get there. If you're talking about Durban as well, I know because I've sat quite often on the unopposed motion roll. And the majority of cases is foreclosure. Banks bring in applications to foreclose and declare immovable property, especially executable. And it's a terrible thing that's happening there. And I think even contracts, DLEX, etc., a lot of the matters can actually be sent to the regional court to deal with these matters. What we also did was, when we got the 25 extra seats, and there was a lot of stakeholders involved, so I can't take full credit for it on my own, although I'd love to. The minister's office was involved, everybody was involved. But that certainly is going to assist with access to justice for our people in KwaZulu-Natal. And all the regional court presidents throughout South Africa were very much involved in adding to all the places of sitting.
Thanks, CJ.
Thank you, MEC. Advocate KNC.
Good afternoon, Ms. Marks. May I ask you please to explain to the Commission what you consider to be the civil experience that you've had that would equip you to be a judge of the High Court?
Thank you. When I was in the district court, I did civil work. Regional court jurisdiction of civil has been since 2010. So I've done civil work there too. In my acting stints in the High Court, being 16 months, 4 months have been in the criminal component, and all the rest, 12 months, have been in the civil component. I've done civil trials, I've done civil appeals, I've acted in the motion court, I've done opposed motions, I've done full bench appeals, full court appeals where I've scribed. You do petitions, you do mental health, you do a whole variety of work.
Thank you very much. That answers my question. Thank you, CJ.
Thank you, Council. Honorable Muimang.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Good morning, Memak.
Good morning, good morning.
In your judgment that you have referenced, there's one that caught my attention. Pearson Limited versus eThekwini municipality.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, the reason why it caught my attention is because you affirmed the legislative power of a municipality as an independent sphere to take its own decision. Just give me the importance of factors that you take into account when you interpret a statute, because in that case you were dealing with the interpretation of section 1021B of the Municipal Systems Act.
Yes, it was an interpretation of the section of the Municipal Systems Act. The application initially was going to be a constitutional challenge, and they withdrew that. But it was the decision of whether the Municipal Systems Act empowered the municipality to actually take monies from one account of the same account holder and credit the other account, the same account holder. I found that they could do that, and interpreting the act as well. One must also be careful of overreach to a certain extent. But my interpretation of the Municipal Systems Act is that the municipality is empowered to actually collect monies for the municipality. And when one interprets the act, you have, or any piece of legislation or any contract for that matter, one must actually look at the simple wording initially and thereafter. And you look at the preamble as well. What is the purpose of the act? And that is why I found in favor of the municipality. That matter as well went on appeal to the ECA, straight to the ECA, and they confirmed my findings. So I was very proud of the Pearson's judgment. Thank you.
Thank you, Advocate Mark. The second question, just your comment with regard to a concern that sometimes we have when there are judgments that are made. That in doing so, just make a reflection on what are the safe mechanisms that are built in the adjudication process, particularly when you are not happy, when a litigant is not happy with the outcome of the court judgment. The Nicholson judgment is an old matter of 2008, where a pronouncement was made by Judge Nicholson around a political expression relating to the investigation or what conversation that took place between Advocate Chair McCarthy and also the suspension of Bikoli. And Judge Nicholson made the pronouncement on that, and that had a serious ramifications in the ruling party to the extent that the then sitting president was recalled, and he was recalled based on Judge Nicholson's statement to say he alluded to things that were not that were never put before him as part of evidence. The second link to that is one of the statements made by the former SG of the ruling party, the current Minister of DMR, made a pronouncement with regard to what sometimes you must expect from I think it's North Gauteng High Court and also the Western Cape High Court, that sometimes their judgment creates crisis for government. What is your view with regard to that?
Yes, if I understand your question correctly, and I hope I'm going to answer it, if I don't, please come back to me and ask further questions. But I don't believe that as a judicial officer, that you should get involved in party politics at all. I don't believe that you should go outside of the evidence that is set before you. And I don't want to criticize any other judicial officer, but sometimes there are people that, well, judges that go outside the papers that are before you. And I don't think one should do that. The perception that you state if you go to a different province, you might get a different outcome. I don't believe that can be true in my mind, because the judge is an oath of office. You've got to administer the law according to your oath of office. And I don't think that you can choose a forum of where to go and to try and get the best result for yourself or for anybody else. A judge has to maintain equality and fairness in all their decisions without fear, favor, or prejudice. That's our oath of office. Must uphold the Constitution and the law.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Thank you, Advocate Mark.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Dodo.
Thank you very much, Chief Justice. Good day, Ms. Marks.
Good day, Commissioner.
Good. It is clear from this record that you have been acting for a very long time as the president, regional president of KZN, and you are still acting. Where is the substantive regional president of KwaZulu-Natal?
The regional co-president KwaZulu-Natal has been suspended. And that is why I was sitting in for him.
You mean Mr. Nzimande?
Mr. Nzimande, yes. He's been suspended from office.
Yes, I have a reason, and it's a matter of public record. As I understand, it's well known.
Correct.
And we can talk about it.
Correct.
Yes, I will tell you why I'm asking you this question. But before that, can you just explain why is he suspended in your knowledge?
I got a phone call on, the Friday night from Mr. Nzimande. He was halfway through interviews when he told me he was suspended for allegations of misconduct. The deputy minister then had phoned me on the Saturday to say, we need you to come and step up to the plate to get to the interviews. There's allegations of misconduct against Mr. Nzimande, which is before the Magistrates Commission. So he has been suspended.
You may not want to talk about them, but I know that this matter was reported to Parliament. There are serious allegations against him, and Parliament has endorsed the suspension of Mr. Nzimande. But in your view, how widespread is this problem of misconduct amongst the magistrates? In your view, is it something that must make us worried or not?
No, I don't think you need to be worried about it at this stage. In KwaZulu-Natal, in fact, 2 magistrates have been suspended and the misconduct inquiries are going to proceed. I think the final charge sheet has been handed to Mr. Nzimande, and I got a copy of it before I came to the interview, and it's actually locked up in my safe in the chambers. But they've increased it. I think the investigation went on for a very long time. The charges were increased from 51 to 162 or something along those lines. Yes, I don't really think this is a forum to say what exactly the allegations are, but I think most of it is public knowledge.
Yes, it's public knowledge.
Yes.
They are reported in the Hansard in Parliament. Everybody knows why, and in my view, they are of a serious nature to an extent that they led to the suspension by the Magistrate Commission and therefore endorsed by Parliament. That is why I was asking you, how serious are this matter? But lastly, just my last question. I can see that you studied in Lund University and you did an international course in human rights.
Correct, yes.
Yes, that is my alma mater as well. I spent several years at that university doing my master's degree. But it's okay. In your view, what lessons have you learned from Sweden at the University of Lund that can be brought to South Africa and be proliferated, because we need to engender the culture of human rights here in our country?
Most definitely. I'm very passionate about rights. What we learned in Sweden, and don't forget, we went very early. We went 95, I think it was 94, 95. We learned about social context training. We learned about gender equality. We learned about disadvantaged people. What it actually teaches you to come back to is we have to uplift our disadvantaged people. We have to treat people with dignity and respect. We've got to find a way of uplifting our poor in this country. And basically, we're a young democracy. And if we don't work towards that, we're going to have trouble along the way.
It's okay. Thank you, CJ. And that country is very cold, eh? Thank you very much, CJ.
It's very cool.
Chief Justice, follow up?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Barner.
Good afternoon. Sorry, on your comment on dignity and respect, there's just something we need to explore, and that is your judicial temperament. So I'll start like this and ask you, if one thinks about judicial temperament, humility, courtesy, that sort of thing, on a scale of 0 to 10, where would you rate yourself?
How do you mean on a scale of 0 to 10?
Well, if you have to give yourself a percentage or a mark out of 10 on as far as judicial temperament is concerned, is it good? Is it bad? Medium?
Oh, I think I would, well, I think I'd be 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10. I've been on the bench for many, many years. There's never, ever been a complaint about my behavior or temperament at all. I treat people with dignity and respect. You've got to put yourself in somebody's shoes. We've often helped people why they have to stand and testify in a witness stand. We don't know. So I get chairs that people can sit down while they testify. So I don't understand that question. I'd actually say everybody deserves to be treated with respect and dignity.
There was just, I think, a concern expressed by advocates for transformation about, that there might be sometimes when there are instances where the judicial temperament might need to be questioned as far as the court is concerned.
I did see that. And I was quite surprised at that, actually, because nobody's ever come forward to complain about me at all. I don't think the JP's got any complaints, the Law Society, etc. I treat everybody equally in my court with dignity and respect. So I was quite surprised at that. And I didn't know what they actually meant by my temperament. Sometimes there is a joke in court and you do laugh. So, and you try not to. You try and keep a poker face. But I really didn't understand that. I think they also said I hadn't acted enough either. But then it was an old comment in 2018, I think, or I don't know. I'm just as surprised as you are, because I think a number of the attorneys and advocates have appeared before me, and I've never ever had a complaint. I am firm, because one has to be firm to get the cases done. I'm very strict on punctuality. 9 o'clock, I will walk into court, and my cases are all finalized. I have no parted cases. I have no outstanding judgments. And I think the practitioners know, the attorneys and the advocates, that if they get in Marx's court, they'll get a fair hearing and a fair trial.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief Justice.
Thank you, sir. Honorable President.
Thank you, CJ. I pass. My questions have been answered.
Judge President.
Thank you, Chief Justice. Ms. Marks, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Judge Mlambo.
I just want you to give us a better sense of your experience acting in the High Court. You say you've acted 16 weeks, 12 of them have been in the civil section of the High Court.
16 months.
16 months, yeah, 12 of them have been in the...
12 months have been in the civil component, yes.
Now, did you sit in the agent court?
Yes.
How did you deal with the intensity thereof?
There is intensity.
Because you don't have agent court work in the magistracy, do you?
Not like the High Court.
Okay.
The High Court, you have your urgent matters together with your motion court role in Durban and in Pietermaritzburg. You have to think quickly. I think my vast experience of getting to the issues at hand, I'm able to do to see through the how can I say, the clouds of dust that some of the parties kick up, and you get to the point in issue. You ask, is that the point in issue? Sometimes our colleagues or brothers and sisters in the High Court in Durban, for example, if my role collapses, I will go to the JP and say, if there's any urgents coming in, I can help out.
So you've acted you've done agent court matters.
Yes, yes.
Have you penned the judgments or have you given extempore judgments in that court?
I've done both. I've done both.
Okay. You said you've done opposed motion.
Yes.
Did you pen judgments there?
Yes, I have.
Right. Have you had any of your judgments? I mean, 16 months is a long period. Have you had any of your judgments going to the SCA and being upheld, and maybe some going to the CC?
I've had none going to the CC, unfortunately. I did have the municipal judgment that we spoke about going to the SCA.
Yes.
That's the only one that has been taken to the SCA.
Okay. One last question, CJ. Sorry, I'm extending it. You have acted as RCP, and I've put this question to other regional court magistrates who are applying for High Court appointment. We have a problem in the regional courts. I say so based on my position as chairing a PEC in Gauteng. I also have the stats for KZN of matters remaining part-head for long. In my September report, I had 3 for KZN in the regional court that were 8 years and above. What is causing this problem? And I'm asking this because you want High Court appointment, and you may assist the JP if you're appointed in his role in terms of Section 8 of the Superior Courts Act to deal with this problem. What's causing this, and what is it about it?
Most definitely. I think the major things in the regional court that is causing these long outstanding cases is the interlocutory applications that are taking place. When the applications are taking place in the commercial crime court or the rhino poaching court or whatever the story is, then the litigants run up to the High Court and take whatever matter has been decided on review. I think I've spoken to the JP about the problem that we have with some of the litigants in those cases. There's various factors. What I did, I put in place, and the JP knows about this as well, is the regional court president's practice directives is that if the people are not sitting for the 4 hours, they got to submit a daily statistic return. That way, we can see what is the challenge and what is the problem. There's a variety of challenges.
Okay, no, I don't want you to go further. You are aware of the problem.
Yes.
You've acted as a leader in that court, and you've tried your bit to resolve it, but it's not going away.
A lot of it came, a lot of it I was able to assist with, but the COVID struck.
Yes.
And we had a very, very sad situation. We had a lot of magistrates that did pass on. And of course, there were also the Department of Justice officials, your stenographers, etc., were on a rotation basis. So prosecutors would come to court and not actually do the trials that they were supposed to, but they would just postpone the matters because everybody was very frightened about COVID.
Yeah.
Now that we're down to the level 1, we're back on stream again.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much, Ms. Marks. You share something special with me. I won't tell the commission what it is. Thank you very much, Chief Justice.
Thank you, Judge President.
It's our birthday,
Ms.
sorry.
Since you've acted as the regional court president, you'll probably be able to answer this question. How many regional court magistrates are in Pietermaritzburg?
Pietermaritzburg, because we've got the backlog courts here as well, would be about 15, with them going out to travel to Greytown, Richmond, and so forth.
2018, 2017, I visited that court and subsequently Durban. It was on a Friday and I didn't find a single regional court magistrate there. And it seemed to be something that people in that building are used to. Are you aware of the problem?
I became aware of the problem when you actually mentioned it in one of the interviews that you'd gone to visit the High Court, I think in Pietermaritzburg, and you walked across to the regional court and nobody was there on a Friday. I can guarantee you that since I've taken the position of regional court president, nobody disappears on a Friday from the Pietermaritzburg court since the 5th of October, 2018.
Did you discover what the problem was? Why was it happening?
I think what was happening at that point in time, and I don't want to
Sure,
to
be careful about it.
to really run anybody down. But I think the people in Pietermaritzburg were finishing their court rolls and going home. And that was a problem in that particular point in time. I did investigate what was going on, and apparently the excuses or the reasons you hear is that the electricity was shut down, there was no water in the building, it's so forth, so forth. Now we actually have a system where they report what the problem is, and it's seen to immediately because it goes to the 4 major stakeholders. So the DPP will get her report, I get my report, the regional head gets report, and the head of legal aid all gets reports. So they can't say,
Yeah.
well, there's no legal aid at the Pietermaritzburg court because Mr. Mdaka will know that there is a legal aid at that court. So without going into too much detail about that, things seem to be working very nicely. And you won't have that situation again, CJ, where you go to the court and not see anybody there.
Yeah, except that as at the time of my surprise visit, it was said to be the trend. You would never find them on a Friday from morning until knock-off time.
No more a trend, I can guarantee you that.
Okay. Professor?
Thanks, CJ, but I'm covered. All the questions that I had was asked.
Thank you very much, Prof. And Ms. Marks, thank you very much. You're excused.
Thank you to the commissioners. Thank you.